Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Our patient today is this beautiful Asus Prime Z390-P. I do not have a board view for this one, but I'm pretty sure we can get this one to work, well, we'll see. The issue with it is the CPU socket with some bent pins and some missing pins, but we'll get to that in a sec. Now, today is my day number 2 of job search, so I can review day number 1. Obviously I wouldn't expect much from day number 1, but I do have a little bit of updates, a little bit of results. So we have here, we have some pins missing. This one here, this one here, and this one here. Three pins are missing, and these two are bent. We have some bending over here, very minute, and that's pretty much it. So, according to the board view, yes, I don't have the board view for this particular board, but obviously the CPU socket is the same. So this one over here is V-Core, which is good, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one, no. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the left. 2, 4, 6 from the left, and 4 from the bottom. So this is also V-Core. And this one, 1, 2, 3, 4 from the left, and this is ground. So technically this board should boot, it should see the CPU. There will just be issues, under load, I expect. But let's correct the pin positions and see what we can do. Now, day 1. So I got my first plane rejection from Airbnb. I don't expect I would even want to work for Airbnb, but at this point I'm just kind of applying to everything. And I expect I was just auto-rejected because perhaps they require bachelor's degree, which I do not possess. They usually say, bachelor's degree or relevant experience. I have a couple decades of experience, so, I graduated in 2002. Even if that was a bachelor's degree, this wouldn't be very relevant. We still used Windows 98 back then. Windows XP was like the best new thing. And actually XP was an excellent system in my view. I enjoyed that system. Or at least, compared to Windows 98, that was a big change. Oh, there's one more bend here. Because you no longer had to reboot the system every time you made any changes to the drivers and stuff. It just installed the driver and it works. That was new. That was a completely new concept. In Windows 98, all of that was, in the it broke. All of that was in the core, or in the what is it called? Yeah, it's called the core, right? So every time you would make any different changes into the devices and stuff, you had to reboot the computer, which was annoying. Windows XP was the first one that actually managed to not need rebooting. You install driver, the screen blinks, and you have new display adapter, new display driver. Alright. So anyways, they plainly rejected me. And since it was pretty quick, right, on the same day, I expect this was some kind of pre-built filter. Like, something was not right. And I don't, this isn't kind of an issue I have with that was through Indeed, I think. And I would like to see what was the offer description to kind of, know for the future that, these jobs are not going to be accepting me, right? But, I just got an email and it's not really attached to any offer or anything. I mean, to any listing or anything like that. So that kind of sucks, but what are you gonna do? Now, second update. So I applied to this position. I don't want to disclose the company name yet. This was, I don't even remember what exactly, some kind of principal engineer, senior engineer, something like that. It was actually something, I think, with networking, something like that. Anyways, they have a very interesting process. You have to record a video answering few questions. It is interesting. I have suspicions that it's not going to be a good fit for me, but that's only suspicion. I could be wrong, and if they want to engage with me in the process, then I will definitely do that. But we'll see. I'm not holding my breath for that one. Although, I like challenges, so sometimes I even apply to the jobs that I know it's not going to be a good fit, but, number one, I need a job. Number two, I like challenges. Now, the final one is actually pretty interesting. So that was like a very last kind of apply. This is, I don't even remember. Well, I do have their name over here, which I'm also not going to be disclosing because, what difference does it make? And they replied to me asking for, actually I can read you the thanks for applying to thing. After looking over your resume, we would like to see if you have a PHP code sample you could send us. We like to see a model class or service class or some interfaces you've written. It can be a partial file. If it's private code from a previous project, just upload it to pastebin.com or Google Drive and remove anything sensitive. We want to see code that you're proud of and represents your current skill level. So that's fair, very fair. Actually, I like the code first approach. I even told them that, and I appreciate that. But reading it, we would like to see a class, and that's very low bar. Very low bar. Oh, DVI TX2. Yeah, so this is not gonna work. Crap. Yeah. This ain't working, guys. So this one that broke over here, this pen, is not ground or vCore or anything redundant. This is something that is gonna be needed. That sucks. But we're gonna test it anyways. Maybe it's something that will allow the board to at least boot. Or maybe this will touch just enough. Right, because there's not much missing, but maybe it'll touch just enough to make a connection. Anyway, so what I did, I sent them my PHP framework I was working on. I was working on that framework actually very shortly after I got hired in my previous position. And this was kind of a fun project, something for fun. I just wanted to create a framework, not really to actually make it happen. That allowed me to kind of reach into the bare metal framework design. Every implement, because I didn't use any libraries, so every implementation of PSR was my implementation. So the framework is PSR is a PSR framework, which means it uses all the PSR interfaces for requests, for cache, for all kinds of stuff. And the way I'm building it, or was building it, and I might actually do it, I might actually work on it a little bit since I have some spare time. But the way I was working on it is just get the list of PSR interfaces and just implement them one by one. But on top of that, I just had the goal of designing a framework that would be very modular, and not framework itself, obviously framework as well. But the core of that framework is a module manager, and everything, even parts of the framework, are the modules. Right? So it's a very fun project. And it allows me to just kind of polish my skills and learn. Like, not a lot of people actually know that in the PSR request you have a method get contents, and usually what you expect from that is that you're gonna get contents from the request as a string, right? Or as a stream. Most likely as a get contents will return string, but you don't get the contents of the request, you get remaining content of the request. So if you use that method once, then if you call it again, you get empty string, because you need to rewind, because it's a stream. So nuances like that. Usually you're not aware of all that, because you always use implementations of stuff, you use frameworks. Alright, the board lit up. We don't have a button, so let's find a panel. Power switch. Here, or at least it looks like power switch is this one. Yeah. Okay, the board started. CPU is warming up. Okay. We don't have a debug diodes on this one. Yeah, CPU is getting nice and warm. And no diodes, so I would need a postcard to insert here. I do have one like this, but it's for laptops. It's not gonna fit in here. Which is too bad, but well, what are we gonna do? At the moment, I will not be buying any equipment, so no postcard. And now, which one's A, which one's B? If this is the same thing, so B1, B2, A1, A2. So let's get it to A1, I guess. Okay. And let's see. So today is day 2. I haven't really, well, I applied to 2 positions because I got 2 emails from Indeed giving me the offer, like, you, based on your resume, you might be a good fit for this one. One is a full-time, one is a contract, and probably contract would have been pretty good for me right now. 60, maybe $80 an hour, because they don't need much, right? It's not a long recruiting process usually for contracts. Last contract I had was for relatively, well, also the company that does consulting, right? So they were consulting on a PHP project that some Indian company worked on, and they massively screwed it up, so they needed a consultant specialized in PHP to just kind of point all that out. And yeah, it was just, because the problem that they had, or the company that ordered this project from an Indian company, they just gave them like extremely well price, right? And for that reason, they couldn't hire valuable engineers. They just hired like mid-level, junior to mid-level. And yeah, they were working really hard and stuff, but they just didn't have skills, didn't have knowledge to actually get the job done. And so I worked there for a couple months. I don't remember what I think I was making like $70 an hour or something like that. Which was good because, just working some weekends, I already had a job. Because I found them looking for a job, right? I already took an offer from the other company that I got laid off from 2 days ago. But I maintained, I remained consulting for the other company. So, that repaired my budget a lot. But, it was just a couple months. And then for like 6 months, for 6 months, they kept me on the payroll, meaning I had to just every week or every 2 weeks, I had to just report zeros as billable hours, right? I think it was every 2 weeks, right? Because they paid every 2 weeks for the previous 2 weeks. And for months they kept me there, and I wanted to reach out to them and either give me some work or let me go, because for months now I've been submitting zeros. Yeah, no reaction from the monitor. It did turn off and turn on again. Sometimes that is when the BIOS resets and that kind of stuff. But we have no nothing. Now, if I could connect the buzzer, but do I have a buzzer? I should have buzzers. Having, I don't know, having both a job and a consulting gig, you know, it doesn't get better than that. EC chip is working. I would expect that SIO is also working. But why is the speaker not working? Let's see on the board view. It's not the same one, but it should be the same standard. Here's the panel. So this is VCC, that's why when I connect it to here, what is this? Unconnected, I guess. Speaker minus. Yes, this one is our last one, and that's not speaker minus. Speaker minus is here, and it's not connected. So yeah, so the speaker doesn't really give us anything. Power LED, HDD. Now let's try putting the memory in every bank. We have the postcard or LEDs on the board. It's kind of a, you know, guessing game, because we don't know what is wrong, what stage is the board, you know, stuck on. We don't know if the CPU is detected. That one pin that was broken, it's probably the reason why it's not working. Well, we have a good source of parts, I guess. From this one, there's some nice transistors on it. Yeah, everything warms up. It's, I don't know, vCore is working. Electrically, we are good, at least as far as the power goes. Is there perhaps busted HDMI port? Okay, yeah. The HDMI seems to be busted. At least that's what it looks like to me. So, yeah. Well, I wasn't gonna fix this one anyways, because it doesn't have enough I/O ports. It does, on the other hand, it does have two M.2 PCI Express for the card, for the network card. So you can, you can make this board into, working computer without touching anything other than the power supply, which I appreciate in these boards. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 vCore rails. This is GT, most likely, SA, and IO. So nice separation over here. So at least it's easy to figure out what's wrong if it doesn't work. But in this case, we would need a postcard. And since that one pin is not connected and it's not redundant pin, this is most likely the issue. So at this point, we would have to probably just replace the CPU socket, which obviously I'm not gonna do on the board like this. I have much better boards where this could be needed. All right, no go, but for parts, I'm just gonna mark it over here with F, so I know I already tested this one and it's no go. Alrighty, and that I guess concludes my first day of finding new job and failing at repairing the board. Well, I guess now. So what I'm gonna do now is start applying to other jobs, and today I'm gonna focus on the jobs I'm a good fit for and a little bit lower hanging fruit, meaning PHP engineers, not even senior, well, probably senior, because again, if you're overqualified, no one will want you. It's not a good thing to hire overqualified people. But since the PHP is something that I have a lot of experience with and a lot of knowledge on, there are some others. Obviously I worked in Java for, I don't know, maybe 5 years. I worked in C# maybe a couple years. But I would have to just kind of refresh my memory. I would not pass an interview now, the technical interview for C#, most likely. As I said, most of the knowledge is transferable, but you do have to be aware of features of the language, and especially lately, C# has changed a lot. They produce a lot of features. It's a very well developed, or it's a very live language. A lot of new features are being developed, and obviously that comes down to syntactic sugar pretty much. It's it's not if you just know the bare bone C#, you'll be able to do what you need to do. And if you just apply syntactic sugar, that usually doesn't translate into efficiency or anything like that, because then it's translated into IL, which will look the same whether you use syntactic sugar or not. So it's not very important, but some companies do require that, because efficiency is only one side of the coin. You also want the code to be maintainable, readable, scalable. It's not writing code that just works is not a challenge. Writing code that can live for a while, being maintained and worked on by several engineers after you, is the challenge. So it's not just about whether it works or not. So with that, sometimes the requirement is that you need to be handy with all that syntactic sugar. The same with Java. Last version of Java that I've been handy with is Java 8. And now we're at what, 12, 13? I don't know. I don't even know. Last time I checked, it was Java 11, and there were plenty of changes to the syntax and a lot of improvements to syntactic sugar. And that is also, I never had much success interviewing for Java positions, and it's a pretty big ecosystem as well, just as C# is. And usually, for C# that you need to be handy with Azure, which I've always used AWS, DigitalOcean, and truth be told, when I don't even care what my orchestration is or what my cloud provider is, if I just deploy everything with Terraform. I mean, there are differences. Terraform is not exactly the cloud agnostic. It was kind of advertised as that, but no, it supports many clouds, but it's not like you can develop your infrastructure for AWS and then just deploy it to Azure. You're gonna have to make a lot of changes, because it's different. It's different API, so there's no there is no abstraction that you would expect, that you write in some language. I want this server with this capacity and all that, and just deploy it to both Azure and AWS and Google Cloud and DigitalOcean. Mainly because even if you had something like that, DigitalOcean is not going to support stuff that AWS supports, and vice versa, perhaps. So there's got to be differences there. So it's but in either case, you don't need to know that much about infrastructure. And I'm a software engineer. I'm not a DevOps, right? So I wouldn't expect from myself to deliver anything beyond the Docker file, right? Then you do with that Docker file whatever you want to do. It's none of my concern as an engineer, as a software engineer, right? Alrighty, let the day 2 begin. It's late morning here. I'm gonna start applying, and wish me luck. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I shall see you tomorrow.